could be a sign of mental illness?
Yes, it is.
For us here, we say, I know busungu bwa jjajjaawe.
No. Yes. Now, what happens is this. One thing I want to still bring it here as we talk about mental health and relationships. I want to pick it from family, for example. Most families have become the greatest source of pain.
True.
And as a result, most mental illnesses are triggered from the family. Why? Because we've not been able to understand issues of mental health and mental illness around family settings. And then we, instead of helping maybe a brother or sister, we become judgmental.
Yeah.
There's a stigma around it, and then this person also takes offense. And, you know, I am involved in narrative therapy practices as a way of helping people with the distress and all that. I keep saying that you can only help a person if you separate the person from a problem.
Can you repeat that statement?
You can only help a person when you separate this person from a problem.
Okay.
A person is a person.
And the problem is another.
A problem is a problem. But a person is not a problem.
Oh, yes.
But then what has been happening is we see a person as a problem. But you are the problem. But you are the problem. You are the one who did this. You are the problem. No. The person is not the problem. The problem is the problem. The person is the person. What is the problem? Mental illness.
Now,
the person... Let me bring it here. I'm sure you have seen people who say, now, you paint a picture of a person. This can be your brother, can be a sister, can be a relative around you, or can even be a spouse. And then you say, this one is a drunkard. This one is a drunkard. Now, you have combined two things in one. So, calling me a drunkard will mean I must defend my title. I must defend myself because that's not my identity. That's not me. I am me. I am not a drunkard. Though maybe I drink.
Yeah.
You get the point? So if you want to help me as a person, but not seeing me as a problem.
Yes.
And that's where many of us have been failing. And as a result, relationships have really died. Relationships have been broken. Why? Instead of seeing you as a person, I see you as a problem. And then I run away from the problem. And then in the process, I run away from a person actually. But the problem is actually, yet this problem can actually be addressed, can actually be helped, actually be treated. This problem can actually be handled. That's why it is important for every person to understand. Now, I want to still bring back that report. 30% of Ugandans are mentally ill, according to today's newspaper.
Yes.
Like I was saying, this research yesterday, as it was given to us, and as we signed on it yesterday, majority of the participants who took part in this research were women. Now,
where are the men? They are hiding.
Where are the men? Even in our own families, I'm sure, even when you're growing up, if your brothers were told, you be a man. Be a man.
A man doesn't cry.
A man doesn't cry. A man doesn't talk. A man doesn't open up. So they don't show up. Yeah. But then if you look at statistics, true statistics, beginning from your church, go to your school, go to every community where there is a gathering, there are more women than men. So
the men are isolated.
The men are there.
But they are there.
And let me also say this. Where you see such reports, where you find more women show up, be sure that there are more men out there. So looking at the 30%, yes, that was based on the number of women who showed up and the children, because this was both in school and in the communities and the health centers and all that. So the men are actually more out there who are battling this.
But silently.
But they are silent. So to me, actually, the number might even be more than 30% that we're talking about. So if you look at a ratio of, look at the ratio of the Bible where 3 women against 7, that means you have 1:3, close to.
Interesting.
So if you have 30%, you may be surprised. Now come to workplace mental health. Why do you think so many men and women are resigning from work? Because of toxic environments and the mental health being affected. And it is coming back to one thing, relationships, because it's affecting relationships. People are failing to relate well because somebody who has a mental illness or a mental health challenge loses communication skills. So the best they will find themselves into is argument and quarrel.
Yeah.
And if somebody is quarrelsome, okay, if somebody is quarrelsome, you know they actually struggle with the mental health problems and therefore they need help.
Now, you talked of us labeling those people as, you know, combining a problem with a person. The main challenge is, like last time we spoke about this, yes, someone would love to help, but you can only help someone who is willing to be helped. So how do you even start helping this person?
It is easy.
Because I want to separate the problem from the person.
Yes.
But there's also this person who is so stubborn, does not even want to admit that I actually have a problem.
That's why I was trying to tell you. When you call me a drunkard, I will defend myself.
Maybe before I called you a drunkard, maybe if I called you a drunkard, I wanted to help and you refused. And
why? Because of the approach.
So how should we even approach
this is where the rubber meets the road. Many family members need help, but they don't trust who can help them. Why? Number one, before the help is coming, there has been abuse. Before the help is coming, there has been stigma, there's been discrimination, there's been a judgment. Okay? So then when you come, trying to help doesn't work. That's why I was in one facility talking to some group of people, and I was telling the manager, you cannot be a manager of any institution as a manager and at the same time come and counsel your staff. It won't work.
Come again?
You cannot be a manager of a place doing your managerial work and then also put on another court to come to your staff that you want to offer them counseling services.
Why can't I?
A manager will, you know, separating a manager's role from the counselor. Because by the time you are coming as a manager, you are coming with a rod.
With a load?
Yes.
Or a lot?
You are coming with a rod, stick.
A rod?
Yes.
Okay.
You must do this, you must do this, you must do this. Where are you? What? And it is worse if somebody is a choleric. That's when they will abuse, they will feel bossy, they will attack you and all of that. Then tell me, after you have abused me, now you come to say, hey, Wama, can I have a cup of tea with you? I will even, if I'm to have a cup of tea with you after you've abused me, I will still keep my distance. That's the same thing now that's happening. So it is until we come to a place, and the problem also now is, in most cases, the vocabulary, I'm sorry, has disappeared in so many lips of so many people in so many families.
Especially in relationships.
Especially in relationships. So it is until somebody says, you know what, I'm sorry. And then the problem also is, when we say, I am sorry, Jesus said it, let there be a fruit of repentance. So
we don't mean the sorry.
We don't mean it, because if you say you're sorry today and then do the same thing over, you're not sorry. You know, there must be a fruit of the repentance that is coming. So we need to come to a place where we can recollect ourselves. Come back to a place where we genuinely break the barriers.
Oh yeah.
Break the barriers that have been making us not to come close. And then get to a place where we can begin to communicate well. That's why in one of the therapies, for people who are battling mental illness, part of the therapy is communication skills. And then even the caregivers or the family members are told, if this person is behaving like this or is talking like this, don't answer back like this. Because sometimes somebody who has a mental problem, the way they think in their mind, you can't see it. The way they feel in their soul, you don't see it. You can only see some of the symptoms. Yeah. But then, when sometimes they can speak out of their frustration, and then you may be passing, then you become the victim.
Exactly.
Because of the words. But then, what I want to say is, don't take the words personal. Don't take the words personal. Because if you take the words personal, it is going to break your spirit, it's going to break your soul, you're going to feel bad about it, and you can even break. Why men will come to workplace, sit on their desk or sit on their table and break and begin to cry? Nobody is beating them there, but they're remembering the words that have been spoken. The bitter words, the hurtful words, the wounding words that they had or they were told. So it affects the emotions. So, but then here somebody needs to understand, if maybe my spouse has this condition, how can I best communicate with this person? We need to come to a place where we relearn. You know, there's learning and then relearning. But many times we are rigid. We don't want
to relearn.
But if we are ready to help our people, if we are ready to help our family members, if we are ready to help our spouses, then we must come to, number one, terms with unconditional love. This is where true love is. Unconditional, because we have three phrases of if. We have if one, if two, if three. Conditional love. If you do this, I will do this. But if you had done like this, I will have also done like this.
So it has to be unconditional.
So it has to be you must show unconditional love for your spouse. And you know, it is even interesting for us men. When a man knows that the spouse loves them unconditional. What
happens if you love unconditional as men?
Same way.
There's the way you stated it, that you men
feel
good when you know that your spouse loves you unconditionally.
That's true. But it is also likewise. If a woman knows that my man loves me unconditionally, then this is what happens. But then also the other problem now when it comes to relationships is competition. Unhealthy competition.
What do you mean competition?
We are different. That's number one. Our love languages are different. That's number two. And then also our status is different. Just because you saw one spouse was given a flower, so my own has never given me a flower.
Those things. You were in offices and your fellow girls are receiving gifts on Valentine,
and then
you're not getting.
You're not getting.
Like, this and man doesn't love me enough.
Your spouse brings lunch from Cafe Javas, and then your colleagues don't have anything, and then they're like, "What kind of man are you?"
Did I marry?
That's why I keep emphasizing for my friends, for my fellow men, that don't compare your wife to another person, and also for ladies, don't compare your man with other men. Because the fact that I left other women to marry you, or to be with you, or to be dating you, is because there is something that is unique about you. But then when you say, why can't you be like other men? So what do other men do? Why can't you be like other women? So what do other women do? And when you begin to get to that place, frustration is going to build, communication is going to break.
Yeah.
And once communication breaks, relationships begin to shrink. And that's where so many things are happening. But it is coming, number one, as a result of the mental illness. That needs to be addressed. Please, I want to emphasize, help is available. Help is too much available. Very available. We need to come to terms and accept that we need help. But when you are a help provider, when you are a service provider, let's break the barriers. See a person as a person, see a problem as a problem.
As a problem.
Differentiate the two, first of all. That's how you're going to. I go to prisons a lot. And every time I go to the prisons, I tell the inmates, I've not come to see you the way others come to see you. I remember we had a school that we started in Masaka, and this school was growing, and I was showing and giving them support, even in Arua main prisons the same way. And when we went to see, we also organized school days within the prisons. So we go to see performance of the learners and all that. And then whenever I talk to them, I say, I've come to school. I've not come to see you as inmates with your various crimes. So don't tell me this one is a rapist, the other one is a murderer, the other one is a robber. No. I've come to see students. And if I'm to help you, I will first help you as a person, but not as the problem that brought you here. Because that's why many times if you're to help somebody who has maybe murdered or who has killed somebody, you may, until you see this person as a person, you may still be having issues. But if you see this person as a murderer, it's even hard for you to help this person. Same way with mental illness.
Now, you spoke about families, and you said that the main cause of mental illness begins from family, where we grow up from.
Yeah.
We have seen people behave in a weird manner, and people have always said, "Oyo watu weyakula tata we yali mukambwe," you know, like is taking a habit that his dad used to have. What do you have to say about that? Maybe if the father was a beater, he used to beat the wife. This man, growing up, also starts beating his wife.
The reason is one: children do what they see their parents do. Children do what they see their parents do. I have lived to see this, and I've also lived to tell others this. Any listener out there, if you have children, watch these children. These children will always imitate you. Whatever you do, they will want to imitate, and they want to be like you. Whenever I go home, even yesterday when I went back home, my 2-year-old boy ran and said, "Dad, let me remove your shoes." Then I released my legs. He released, and then he removed the shoes. Then he said, "Let me also remove the socks." He removed the socks. But what did he do? After removing the socks, he put on my socks, also put on my shoes. That's to just show you that children do what they imitate what we do. If a child sees this is happening, then that's what exactly they will do. Because a child will look and see, and he will also want to try and do exactly what the parents do. That's number one. Number two, in families where the mother and the father have separated, the weight comes on the children. They won't tell you, but they're having their pain inside. So, in as much as they are acting that way, they are acting out of the frustrations. And then it is also what they see they're practicing. Number three, talking about mental illness coming from breaking loose from the family setting. That I think is in families where there's a lot of polygamy. That means there will always be competition. There will always be rivalry. Even if it is not in a polygamous home, even if you're in a monogamous home, there's always that competition that comes. Natural. The firstborn, the secondborn, the lastborn, there will always be some competition. And it is worse if by any chance the parents begin to show some level of favoritism.
Yes, to a certain child.
To a certain child. Definitely the rest may not say anything, but they will only wait for an opportune time for them to act.
Very true.
Joseph, when Jacob gave him a coat, the rest didn't have any. What did they do? They mobilized themselves
to go against the brother.
Most of the things that are failing apart is in the family. Cain killed his brother in the family. Esau wanted to kill the brother. Jacob ran away because of the brother, but still they came back and they reconciled. everything that is falling apart is falling within the family. That's why even right now, there are so many siblings who don't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Why? Because they feel either one was loved more than the other, or they feel one is shaming their family in one way or the other. So, but without knowing that actually it's not about shaming. I know mental illness has a way of clothing people with a garment of shame, with a garment of rejection, dejection, despair, all that. But we need to let go. Time needs to come where we remove this kind of garments of shame. Accept the reality that actually this person is struggling. What people don't know is that others may even say, you're the one who looked for the problem. We warned you not to drink, but you still went ahead and then became an alcoholic. Telling me to stop drinking will not help me to stop drinking, because maybe why I am drinking is because there is a problem that you have not been addressing. Yeah?
Yes.
Because every of this has a cause. There's a trigger. There is a cause for whatever mental illness. There is a cause. That's why psychotherapy helps to deal with what is the cause of this, what triggered this.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, friends, the medication will only treat the symptoms, will only treat your body, will only make things around your body to normalize. But the real trigger is only dealt with when there is a psychotherapy, when you say therapist, when you say counselor, when you open up to speak what really it is.
Mainly by the people that are around you.
Yes. And then from there, the therapist then can help you to cope in case such a thing happens again. How will you manage?
All right, let's go for another short break. But we are returning, discussing about now during or when you're in marriage, and then that particular relationship you're having causes or triggers the mental illness. Yes, tugenda kumulamo naye tukoma